Morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year. And thanks for the opportunity to share with you again relative to our local real estate market, what we're all about, kind of a correlation between Colorado Springs and USA. You got a handout from me last week. And I'm going to just kind of go through the highlights of what you saw and also have a little discussion about what you already have. So no, we're not going to have to go through everything. So what's very important for El Paso County is, and it's been a shocker and it's a surprise to a lot of people that I share, because as of this past month, you see there are 196,790 homeowners in El Paso County. It's amazing. But a lot of the information I'm sharing with you today is so that you can take your leadership and understand that we're dealing almost 200,000 homeowners in the county today. And out of that, you see that 131,497 are actually within the city. So the whole point is that we've got issues today for homeowners that we can address, and these are people who you want to support, and they want to support you. And I think it's very important, though, that you see the volume that we're talking about of a homeowner in El Paso County. What's very interesting as well is that even though at that number of homeowners, let's take a look at where we are relative to USA. What I shared with you the last time I was here a year ago, November, the National Realtor Association provides database every quarter. And the database is every sale that goes through every MLS in 176 cities. And it's very important to take a look at Colorado Springs. When we take a look at what you're seeing, the median price, and this is done quarterly. So on a national level, we're 10% below the median price of the United States. You'll see in the median sale price that came out as of the end of September. We think we got a great market going on here. Our community is wonderful, terrific. It kind of is. But if you're a corporate leader, a CEO, a COO, an HR kind of a person, and you're shopping USA, because you're going to expand, grow, relocate a group of people, you're shopping various communities to see what's it going to mean for our employees. So it's a very interesting and important database that, for what I know, in corporate relocation, they shop every city that's similar, like we're a tier 2 city in size. Colorado Springs is 10% below USA. So it's important for you to know that, because if we've got a corporate prospect, you've had somebody knocking on your door in your office, you need to kind of correlate to what do we mean to another company who's considering coming here. And obviously, then it's correlated to what's it mean to your employees, home ownership, because now you see there's almost 200,000 homeowners here. And those kind of people want to know. And it's very important to understand what's our relative strength in USA. Database is every single sale that goes through every MLS in these 176 cities. So it's as accurate as it can be. So based upon that, what I'm going to share with you is what you see on the screen. This is what took place here in Colorado Springs as of the end of December. So again, the database can't be, better for us. So locally, we think we're doing great. Locally, you see, our average sales price went up 4.3%. You see that the median went up 6.6. So we think that's wonderful. To us locally, it is. But again, my point is, when you look at the data at a national level, we're kind of average. We're even in some cases below. And once again, companies really take a close look at that. So we're doing well. The appreciation is there. Oh, and by the way, this might be even more important with Wall Street. Owning a house today and the appreciation today is better than what you're making on the stock market, given what's going on Wall Street. So we're doing a little better from that direction. So anyway, let's take a look at the next screen, and it makes a point of the homes for sale. Look at this chart. We haven't seen the volume at this level in about 10 years, maybe even more. So let's make it a point of our relative strength of the housing market. Inventory is a record low. Yes, we're seeing some multiple offers. And at the same time, even the higher price homes that have been pretty flat have come back, and we're seeing more activity based upon what you're seeing on this chart. You can also take a look at the next chart about the new listings that have come up. That took place fairly decently last month, and you'll see that with the 772 with the number. What also is interesting, when you take a look of the year, the next chart, total under contract listings last month, again, it's positive. So we're really seeing good activity here, and I think it's pretty active for you to know, and it's great data. What else is very interesting? You got friends, contacts, people want to know strength of the market. Look at the next chart, average days on the market. We're now at 59 days on the market, which is, and we see that this time of the year, which traditionally anywhere in the country, wintertime things are slower than the middle of the summer. But if we're already seeing that days on the market is just under 2 months, that's terrific in terms of timing. It also means people have to kind of make a decision. They can't think it over because things are moving kind of quick. So what else is interesting on the next chart, total number of sales, terrific this past year. The entire PPAR market had 13,250 sales. We haven't seen that number in over 10 years when things are very, very strong here. So once again, the market is very strong. When you take a look at the next chart, and you see this is a correlation between the average price and the median price, and you'll see the chart is totally equal. The numbers are a little different, but the good news is where our prices are. What's more important to El Paso County is looking at the next sheet. What you see again at the top in this database is every sale through everything to do with Pikes Peak Association of Realtors. So this is everything also El Paso County. Some of it is also Teller County. But what I'm showing you here is you see where the median price is now the 241,174. The average is 268,409. Again, what's extremely important, relationship between a selling price and the list price, 98.9%. So that means if it's priced right and you have a motivated seller, they're selling pretty close to list price. So that makes a real statement. And the reason I like sharing that with you, once again, giving you the concept of market conditions, whoever you talk to, or once again, we got some corporate prospects looking at the community. This is data that they all really want to know to correlate the strength of our market to whatever else they might be taking a look at. Again, there you see the days on the market. You also see the breakdown by different parts of the community. You can take a look where you live. You can take a look at what that might mean to you, and you can share that with your friends and neighbors. And once again, it's really positive. So we know you like that. When you take a look, the next sheet, again, this can give you a comparison to El Paso County, Teller County, at a very price group. So, and that means important to an individual based upon where they live, what's their budget, what's their income, what's the strength of a certain price range. So it's all right there, but once again, it's a positive group of statistics. Any questions so far?
I was just looking, and I noted, obviously, where I live in Old Colorado City, the average, I guess, the days on the market is only 26 days. That's really low. Maybe because of the limited stock, I'm assuming that of housing, that there's not a lot there to be had. There's not a lot of homes for sale. But, I mean, that's pretty encouraging, especially for the older areas of town. I think that it's really encouraging to see these numbers. And do you, Harry, have a sense of, and we haven't had a report for a while from our public trustee, but do these numbers kind of mirror in terms of foreclosures, that the foreclosure numbers are going down as well in terms of less foreclosures because houses are moving faster?
In this economic cycle, foreclosures are down nationwide. We're down, I think the number was over half as compared to a year ago. And that also correlates to unemployment. I'm thinking it's around 4.1, 4.2, something like that. So when unemployment is down, people don't lose their jobs so that they don't lose the house. And there's always going to be a correlation of that. So that's why foreclosures are down probably about half of where they were.
I guess now is maybe the time to sell. I'm not sure buy, but obviously buyers are buying. So I think that's good for our community that we're seeing a turnover of the housing market. So
there was a home listed in Mountain Shadows, made him a full price offer. It was not accepted. On the day it was on the market, there were 3 offers.
right.
That was reality. We were lucky. We were number 2. The first one, it didn't work. Therefore, ours stayed in place, got accepted. And if somehow, and it's going to happen, it's a corporate transferee, pre-approved and all that, but there's 2 other people in line because the inventory's down. I mean, it's the real world.
Harry, I was just going to ask, as far as like the lower number of foreclosures, possibly has something to do also with loan regulations being a little more tight now, that people are pre-qualified and then having lower interest rates as well, I think.
Again, with what's going on with Wall Street, the mortgage market dropped even at the close on Friday. You can get a 30-year fix now at 3 3/4 par. And that took place. I mean, that's how the market closed Friday. So the rest of the story, though, is because of, and you'll see in this presentation, you're a little ahead of me, Peggy. But the whole point is, what took place out of the foreclosure industry, sitting in, Dodd-Frank bill and what we're all dealing with, that totally changed the underwriting criteria of a mortgage. So few people in USA qualify today than they could have qualified prior to 2012. that same sector is what caused foreclosures. So maybe they didn't have the right credit worthiness at the time. So let's move along then, and with the information that I've got for you. And you'll see that we're really talking about basic needs, of course, is everything to do with housing. We totally know that. It's the biggest asset that everyone really has. Also in your handout, I thought you'd really like to see, my Exhibit D really shows Colorado Springs, when we first started with statistics, was 1985. And that's what I gave you a copy here. And you can see the correlation of appreciation in housings then. In those days, it was average. We didn't have the word median. So if we can correlate, we can take average to average today. And the good news is what you see in your hand. We started, you see at the, in 1985, it was, an average price was $84,400, that today's $267,000. So that's over a 30-year period. But my point in simple arithmetic, take a look at the appreciation of local housing correlated to Dow Jones Standard & Poor's. So Colorado Springs is in decent condition, and that's something too that we share with corporate prospects, transferee prospects. So it's positive, and that's why I really wanted to share with you. The next thing I really want to share is, you see, it's all about social benefits of home ownership. This is absolutely fabulous, terrific. It's all about the housing industry, and my point is there's a real strong correlation between income, education, age, marital status, other factors, and you've got the database that all can correlate to Colorado Springs. So even though this was written by NAR, and the statistics, the data is something that, again, corporate America checks this out. And if they're thinking about, excuse me, going wherever, this is information that I think would be something you'd like to know, because if somebody's knocking on our door, once again, this is terrific. It's absolute facts. A lot of it comes out of the big schools, but I use it personally, and that's why I thought you'd like to know. It's pure facts, and we're positive. So the whole bottom line is that home ownership really brings what's considered a very substantial social benefit, family benefit, and that's their biggest asset. So that's why I thought you'd like to see this data. Next, what's very interesting, and my point before, is when you look at the statistics of the population here, and when you take a look at what was published nationally right now, and I'm in Exhibit F, you'll see we're at a 50-year low nationally on the percentage of home ownership, down to 63.4% of population now is a home owner. A lot of that had to do because of the foreclosure crisis, what happened from 2008 to 2012, totally changed underwriting criteria. But here's the point, right now, 50-year low on home ownership. What that also does, that creates market demand for people who have to rent. And that's why you've already seen it from apartments, multifamily, whatever. That function is taking place nationwide because there's market demand for rental property. I thought, again, you'd like to see where that number is.
That's really interesting because I guess just sort of what I've heard, and of course that's, sort of rhetorical how you hear things, that the millennials are less likely to be buying versus renting. So I guess that kind of makes sense in a way of what we're seeing with younger people who don't necessarily want to invest in homeownership, but they're essentially willing to rent and be a little more portable. And then I have a question about the value around the Garden of the Gods corridor. As we, as the Board of County Commissioners, invested in the Citizen Service Center and consolidated a lot of our departments and offices, have you seen an increase in the activity along that Garden of the Gods corridor, which for a while was looking pretty poor with regard to business and commerce?
Since you brought up Garden of the Gods Road,
And you're no longer there.
I live there. When I built my former building that is leveled and then, now it's Taco Bueno. When I built that building, Garden of the Gods Road was a chug hole street. HP was out there, Command was there, and I'm sure you all remember Hungry Farmer.
Yeah, yep.
And that was it. And that was, I built that in 1978, and things really grew. It basically was high tech. At one point in time, up till 1992, there were between 9,000 and 10,000 engineers within that Garden of the Gods sector. It was really there. And then we know the rest of the story. The industry, for the most part, went overseas. Manufacturing of technology, still a great amount, is still outside of USA. But that's where Garden of the Gods sector really felt it. At the time, and this organization of all knows what happened, that of the former Intel building, that even before that, and that's where your operation really is today. So there's still employment there, but we just don't have the manufacturing that we used to. That's just a change in a market. Understand. So there's always, because of that population of employment, they still need restaurants. So, and that's kind of what's going on there. That's life.
You didn't get like a lifetime certificate to Taco Bueno, did you?
Yeah, that was an interesting experience, and anytime call me and I'll share. And but yeah, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. So let's take a look, and you're going to get a real kick out of this. I was involved EDC in the 80s, and what I wanted to share with you right now is something that we did then, and we haven't seen it since. So I'm going to pass this around. This is what's called the White Collar Album. And you'll see it says Colorado Springs. And just like today, and what you're going to see, we don't compete for new jobs like similar Tier 2 cities do. They go other places. We haven't seen the growth that we all wish we could. And so here's an example of, in my opinion, it was very innovative, it was aggressive, it was creative marketing from a marriage between EDC, City Council in those days. So I'm going to pass this around, and I made a copy. The copy doesn't justify, but my point is, in today's marketing concept, this is what the community needs to do, in my opinion, to be, again, more aggressive with other communities to get corporations consider our community. And again, we need to go back in today's marketing. Of course, we don't print things like that anymore, but still, that's our relative strength and how strong we were when we really brought a lot of the big employers that we did in the 80s and 90s. So I thought you'd really like to see.
This is actually pretty clever.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
I mean, and we look better, and that little marketing thing, that helped us show that we were more innovative, aggressive, creative, marketing-oriented, and that sold our community to corporations. Yes, we brought jobs here in the 80s and the 90s, the early 90s, and I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing that. No, I'm never going to throw it away because it meant a lot. So that was our real world. So planting the seed to do something with it. Yes, RBA has knowledge. I had that get together, and that was recent, and as well as City Council. So next one I want to share with you is what kind of has taken place to change marketing. Why? Because what you mentioned earlier, and the reason we've got a change of home ownership, it's because student debt today is at a record high. We know that. In the Journal 2 weeks ago, they said it's over $1 trillion now in nationwide student debt. And so with that percentage of student debt, you're going to see that that's going to increase the rental market. I mean, it's just that simple, and that's anywhere. And a lot of times, those kind of students don't have realistic, decent credit, and so they're just not going to be a homeowner. So that's kind of the point. There's also been other communities, though, that have taken that and made it more positive. And you'll see in what I shared with you, the Exhibit H, and this was in the Wall Street Journal. You see that this past July. It was a terrific story. That's why I kept it. And it's Denver. And out of the whole thing, I'm going to read for the record what's terrific. Like I said, this was July. Some 3,200 new firms have opened their doors in Denver during the past 4 years. According to city estimates, contributing to more than 165,000 new jobs in the broader metro area and helping drive the unemployment rate to 4.1% in May, among the lowest in the big metros in the nation. And on the bottom, you see that chart about the mile-high boom is what they call. And what's terrific, at least what I see, is if all that's happening 60 miles north, and the rest of the story is those companies, I think, are prospects. And I'm going to give you the answer why I can justify that for us. And I feel why we can use it as a function to prospect to bring some of those companies to the greater El Paso County market area. And the answer is, again, there's been some multiple offers on houses in Monument. Why? Because if you take a look today, you see right here on the statistics I've shared with you, what's our average or what's our median housing price. Denver, as of last month, average is $409,000 for a house there that's about 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. Unbelievable, 409. What personal experience has been, and speaking with other realtor friends in Monument, we have seen and personal experienced realtors from the greater Denver are showing listings in Tri-Lakes area, Monument. Sales are happening there. Why? Because when you take a look at the average price of a home in Monument, and you take a look at the quality of public education, and you take a look at property taxes here, and then you take a look at let's say, other costs in a house, such as utilities, we are consistently less expensive than South Denver, to our area. So that is creating more market demand and sales in Monument because of what's taken place in Denver, and that's all part of what you see in the Exhibit H. So again, it's real facts. Now, along with what that means to us, when cost of living is that high, I feel that that can be an asset for us when we might be able to move maybe a prospective company who it's too costly for them to hire people, to grow people, because they're going to have to rent. And an employer would really prefer to have, let's say, leadership, senior managers, to even be able to own a house. And given where home prices, you can tell where I'm going, it's not taking place. So given that theory, I'm going to share with you a copy of a story that came out last Thursday. So it's very interesting, and even though we all know about General Electric, and we own things in our homes or whatever that were manufactured at a part of GE, but the whole thing here, and you see I outlined for you, we should be able to take the facts of what happened. Why did General Electric leave Connecticut? Why did they go to Boston? So I can see you're all reading. It's terrific stuff. It's the real world. And I've got another example for you. So, and you see where the numbers are. But look what they did for people in Boston to get 800 transferees to go to Boston. This happened last week. And along this line, the other example that I had a friend involved with, and I mentioned this earlier, a lot of people in the audience, yourselves, at some point in life, probably had an Electrolux in your house. They're the largest vacuum cleaner in the world. So the story is Electrolux says, sales are fabulous, wonderful, terrific, we're going to grow. And they wanted to be kind of in the southeast part of USA. So they put out requests for relocation presentations. I'll make it kind of short and easy, but as aggressive as Alabama is, because as we know, like with everything to do with NASA is there, together with, they've got a number of the big car manufacturers, Alabama. When they were asked to make a presentation to Electrolux, they lost the deal because they didn't market the state right for the customer, the prospect. They were talking, Alabama was talking how big they were, how great they were, executive people, even in the car manufacturer, they were above average in income. Bottom line, Alabama lost the deal from Electrolux, and I'll explain in a minute. Number two, who is number two in the sector? North Carolina was the prospect for jobs. And North Carolina lost the deal because, who we know, outside of Wall Street, North Carolina has got more bankers and lenders than any place else in USA. So the whole presentation to get jobs to North Carolina all had to do with banking, finance, almost free money to Electrolux. And they were turned down, they didn't win. So Electrolux ended up, 1,200 jobs went to Memphis. And here's why Memphis won. And my point is, this whole thing is what Colorado Springs, El Paso County is all about. And what they did in their presentation for 1,200 jobs is we're going to give the employer work-life balance. That's what they did. Why? Because Electrolux turned out to go 3 sessions, 8 hours a day, 24/7, manufacturing vacuum cleaners. But what they wanted to do is they wanted to give the employees who got off at the 3 different cycles of a day something to do, to take care of the family. It was a blue-collar majority thing, so they put a recreation center near the complex all from the community. And their whole presentation from Memphis correlated to job production, job security, and the attitude of the employee toward the community. That's why they won 1,200 jobs. Kind of simple, elementary, so I thought I'd share that, sure, we need to do something more than that. We've got it, we've got the objective here, but to me, those kind of things is what also assists creating more jobs in a community. It's incentives, you bet, and it's trickled to, who the people really are. So my point is, you can see incentives to what happened in Memphis, and you can see incentives what took place in Boston. So the whole thing has to do with people. It's correlated to the income of the employee. So I just think it's something that would be great coming from your leadership. What can be done to, let's say, showcase Colorado Springs? It's a great story how we can take the information and correlate it to us right here. What you see in my Exhibit I, what makes us the happiest about the places we live. This is terrific. 216 top places to live in the world, and how it correlated to job growth, more corporate profit, and more comfortableness of people who work. We're all there. So what you're going to see, when you read this, and this is kind of my outline to share with you, and even though this was written for a population of cities from 20,000 to 350,000 population, I feel the criteria is absolutely equal to what we live with right here. What they're showing of what makes people more productive, companies make more profit, here's the list. Amenities, it's demographics, it's the local economy, it's the public education, it's to do with healthcare, and imagine it's housing. And access to affordable housing, as you see, is the most important feature from all of those cities worldwide. So all the database is right here, and it shares what levels of elected leadership correlate to the family, the job retainage, the length of job, and housing. I mean, it's our real world. And I thought you'd really like to see the facts are right here. We don't have to reinvent the world. I mean, it's right before us. And it just gives you some ideas of what the 100 cities do and how it makes people happier to live there, and everybody wins. The employee wins, the employer wins, the family wins, everybody. And it's right here. And it's just something that at your leadership, you've got the opportunity to follow through. So the homework's done for you. What it becomes the most positive of what I'm sharing with you today, and this was published 1 month ago by Bloomberg Business Week, the 10 hottest housing markets for 2016. They did the homework, and the story is, and you've got a copy, Colorado Springs was ranked number 6 as a hot housing market for 2016. My point is, with knowledge of this, and to share with, again, business leaders, corporate prospects, this is terrific. This means more because we're talking our relative strength in housing. So I thought you'd like that as well. On Exhibit K, you'll see that's all about from National Geographic. Once again, it's terrific. And this is all about the world's smartest cities. And my point here is everything that this is all about, our greater market right here in Colorado Springs, meet the standards of the smartest cities. So if we've got the data, what are you going to do with it? So again, we've got to market it, get it out. We've got prospects. Even we've got local companies that are going to grow. Okay, let them know that we really like the fact of the relative strength in the smart minds that are right here in the Springs. So based upon what you're seeing today, my personal philosophy really hasn't changed. I think you all know that. And as I said last year and what I wrote down, and what I said having to do, as Solomon said in the Ecclesiastes, and how the birds put it, it's turn, 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 and everything there is a season. So that's what I'm sharing with you. I feel this data I'm sharing with you today is terrific, positive in our season, and it's time to take a look and see how we can implement this for the community from every direction. So that's my presentation for you this time. Delighted to answer questions, how we might be able to implement. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of Pikes Peak Association of Realtors.
You just got the best data and information, and the way you put it together is wonderful. I appreciate it very, very much. And I know we always look at it from our perspective and how we can assist with all of those aspects, the Regional Business Alliance, working with them and anything that we can do. So I appreciate this very much.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.